Welcome to another edition of According to Ingrid. Tonight's show is a show that I believe that you will remember for the rest of your lives. Tonight we have a guest who has been with us 3 times already, and his name is Carlos Perez, the founder and editor of the Mayan Calendar News. Welcome. Welcome, Carlos.
It's wonderful to see you again.
I'm glad to have you here tonight, and we're going to talk about something that's very special to people all over the world, which is the 2012 prophecies. We've covered part 1 and part 2, and tonight we concluded with part 3, and we will speak about the revelations of the 2012 prophecies. And Carlos is going to bring us up to date. We're going to talk about all of the tornadoes, the earthquakes, and the horrible I would say solar blast, or was it sun blast?
The solar flare.
Solar flare, and what's to come in the next few months, being that there's so much question going around in regard to the truth or the false and the myth about the prophecies. Can you explain what's really going on?
Well, 2012 has turned out to be, is living up to all the billing, to all the expectations of what some of the teachers regarding 2012 have been saying. Number one, we had that enormous solar flare that took place in January. And that has triggered, that solar flare has triggered all the violent storms that have taken place, the tornadoes, the typhoons in the Far East, a whole series of earthquakes. I think in 1 week, about a week ago, there was like 7, 8 earthquakes. One off the island of Sumatra that was like an 8.1, and then it went to, there was one in Chile, one in Mexico, there were like 2 in the Pacific Northwest, Northern California, in the state of Oregon. I mean, there have just been all these earth events taking place. And right now, as we speak, there's a volcano, an active volcano in central Mexico called El Popocatépetl, and I'll just call it El Popo for short. This has been an active volcano for a long time, and in the last several days, it has been increasing in volcanic activity. Right now, a large dome of lava is building up. It's been shooting out all kinds of smoke and ash and stones, and in the region, all the towns surrounding the volcano, El Popo, they're starting to now have a critical pollution problem from all the debris and the gas and the smoke and the ashes coming out from the volcano. Now this volcano is heating up, and this is all, in my mind, this is all related to that massive solar flare that took place in late January.
Now, last time you were here, you spoke about something's going to occur in May, and you said that will be more spiritual. People will feel it, and it will change their lives. And then you said, and after that, there will be something going on in June, which will also stop, I believe you said, the electricity, the cars, our bank cards, our cell phones would stop, and that people should actually get bicycles in order to get around and so on. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that?
What I spoke about were the 3 important dates coming up in the Mayan calendar. One is May 20th of this year. Now, May 20th, the Earth and the Sun are going to align with the Pleiades star system. Now, the Pleiades star system is a very important symbol within the Mayan calendar. There are several different star systems or planets that have a very significant role in the Mayan calendar, and the Pleiades is one of them. So we're going to align up with the Pleiades. Now, and then if you notice, May the 20th just happens to be the date that the NATO summit is going to be taking place here in Chicago.
You're right.
Right. And trust me, all the things that have been going on in the political world right now, and I'm going to come back to that, are also related to some of the dynamics of the Mayan calendar projections. So now we have that May 20th. On June the 6th, there's going to be a Venus transit of the sun. Now Venus, the last time there was a Venus transit was in 2004. In 2004, there was a Venus transit of the sun, and a few months later, after that Venus transit, we had the devastating earthquake in the South Asian earthquake.
Yes.
With the tsunami that killed over 200,000 people from South Asia all the way to the Horn of Africa. Then we had Hurricane Katrina. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
Now, we're going to have once again the Venus transit, only this time the Venus transit, it's going to, the transit means that Venus is going to cross the face of the sun. We'll see it as sort of like a spot going across the face of the sun. This time, the Venus transit is going to cut across the equator of the sun. Sometimes it'll cut across the North Pole, or it'll cut across the South Pole.
The bottom, right.
This time it's going to cut across the equator of the sun. Now, in Mayan tradition, this is a very, very negative, bad time.
What can people do? I mean, I know we'll get back to everything else later, but what can people do to be safe, or how can they prepare for what's to come and survive if there's going to be any type of earth changes?
Well, you know, people
in their
have to
communities.
start preparing now. I mean, this was the subject, we got into this somewhat in the last discussion. And that was that, number one, I think, you know, look at what happened with the tornadoes. The tornadoes that cut across Arkansas and Kansas, I mean, they wiped out, obliterated entire towns.
Correct.
Entire towns were wiped off the face of the earth, wiped off the map.
And this tornado activity is something that's also because of what's going on in the solar system.
It's all related to that solar flare. When that solar flare took place, it was a huge solar flare. It was the largest solar flare ever recorded.
Now, did the Mayans predict all of this, or just the 2012, the 21st of December? Was this also predicted leading up to it?
The Maya have always anticipated solar flare activity. This is one of the things that was recorded in their calendar. We're in a time when the Mayan calendar says there's going to be a lot of solar flare activity. And so that solar flare generated, it just affected the atmosphere of the earth. This is why we've had these strong winds, we've had these extreme weather patterns, and it's going to continue. Now, when the Venus transit occurs, the Venus transit is you got to imagine, Venus is a very large planet. It's going to be cutting across the face of the sun, and it's going to generate some kind of reaction from the sun as well.
Thank you.